Greetings, my friend.
Oh, hi there. My name is Prostetnik Vogon Jeffs, and in this video I'm going to be talking about the 2024 breakfast pastry propaganda film, Unfrosted. It's a movie written by, directed by, and starring comedian Jerry Seinfeld.
Horrible. And that's on his permanent record.
Along with a slew of other comedians in performances that make you question what the word comedian even means anymore. It's a movie that makes it clear that Larry David was clearly the driving force behind the success of the Seinfeld sitcom.
It's a good show.
Well, the show's over.
And oh my god, it's another Netflix movie. What the hell is going on over at Netflix?
You don't want to know.
Why are you doing this to us? Let's get into it.
I f***ing hate this f***ing movie.
What a shocker. What an absolute surprise. Who would have thought that a movie about Pop-Tarts would turn out to be pure, unadulterated garbage?
It's garbage. All garbage.
It's a little ironic that so much of the movie was filmed in and around dumpsters, because this is the Netflix equivalent of a dumpster fire. Literal trash. It's apparently, and unsurprisingly, where Pop-Tarts came from. And it's where this movie should exist, or cease to exist, if we could all be so lucky. Spoilers! This movie is terrible, and I'm going to spoil the whole thing. Alright. Jerry Seinfeld is Bob Cabana, the head of development at Kellogg's. He's hanging out in some random diner when a young boy, running away from home, pops up onto the seat beside him. The young boy orders a Pop-Tart, and Bob proceeds to tell him the story of the tasty breakfast cavity creator.
You want to know the real story?
Nope.
It's 1963, and Kellogg's and their rival Post are feuding like Montagues and Capulets in the Michigan city of Battle Creek. Bob and Jim Gaffigan's Edsel Kellogg III have a feeling that Post is about to unveil a new breakfast product that could upend their industry dominance.
Why are they smiling over there? They're losing everything.
After dumpster diving with a couple of neighborhood street rats, Bob uncovers Post's plot to release a fruit-based pastry.
It's some kind of jellyish structure thing. Transportable, possibly heatable. It might even be nutritious. I tasted it.
Where?
Out of a dumpster.
Bob realizes that his old product development work has been stolen by industry spies and asks Edsel to rehire his former partner, Donna Stankowski, aka Stan. Edsel is reluctant,
No Stankowski. No can do.
but allows Bob to lure her away from her current job making tube Twinkies for NASA.
It's Twinkie in a tube!
Looking for a marketing spin and a creative edge, Bob and Stan create a team of taste pilots.
I give you Kellogg's first ever taste pilots.
Get it? Like test pilots. Because Seinfeld wanted to inject several references to The Right Stuff in this movie about cheap, mass-produced pastries. They commissioned the likes of Jack LaLanne, Steve Schwinn, Harold von Braunert, Chef Boyardee, and Tom Carvel. Bob, Edsel, and Stan attend a meeting of the 5 cereal families and find out that Post intends on releasing their product within a week, putting extra pressure on the inept team of taste pilots to produce a competitor. In an effort to slow Post, Bob and Stan head to Puerto Rico to make a deal with El Sucre to purchase all of his sugar.
How much are we talking?
We want all of it.
This gives the Kellogg's team time to develop their own rectangular dingus, a toastable, fruit-filled pastry wrapped in bulletproof foil. The push towards milkless breakfast options upsets the local milk mafia, who force Bob to run a gauntlet of cow farts.
Okay.
Bob, Edsel, and Stan are then called to the White House and forced to listen to JFK, while Marjorie Post visits the USSR to seduce Nikita Khrushchev into ponying up some of that sweet Soviet sugar.
Say hello to everyone's favorite liquor-based cereal treat, Count Vodkulas.
Oh, and if you haven't guessed by now, none of this is based in reality. None of this happened. This movie is a completely fictional, absurdist take on the origin of the Pop-Tart. And beyond that, none of this really matters when it comes to the plot of the movie, so let's just get through this as quickly as possible, okay?
Can we all just move on?
During a toaster test of the new rectangular dingus, Steve Schwinn is blown to smithereens after oxygen escaping from his spacesuit is ignited by the heat of the toaster. Oh my god. The Kellogg staff hold a mind-bendingly insane funeral service for the bike maker.
Ave Maria.
What is happening?
Where the Kellogg's mascots, encouraged by the milk mafia, decide to go on strike. This eventually leads to a J6-inspired riot at Kellogg's headquarters, led by QAnon Tony the Tiger Shaman.
Gather ye one and all.
They attempt to breach the building in order to stop the product certification process, but are unfortunately unsuccessful.
We are undone, boys. Undone by cruel fate.
And so the Trat Pop is born. However, during a news update, Walter Cronkite accidentally reads the name backwards.
A product called the Pop-Tart.
And boom.
Yeah?
Yeah?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pop-Tarts. The breakfast pastries sell out everywhere, and Kellogg's wins the pastry war because kids liked the name Pop-Tarts more than the name Country Squares, which kind of makes the whole rushing to market part of the plot moot. They could have released Pop-Tarts a month later and still won in the end, right? Because kids. Anyway, all of the characters go off and live their lives. Bob is shot by Andy Warhol.
It's Andy Warhol, creator of pop art.
But saved by the foil wrapping in his breast pocket.
Wow, that's a pretty good story.
And the boy who was running away from home gets his way. His parents will buy him the X-ray specs he wanted after all. Way to cave into his demands, Mom. The end. Before I dump all over this movie, let's talk about a few things I actually liked. I'll be honest, I was never a huge fan of Melissa McCarthy.
You mean me?
I liked her in Bridesmaids, but that was pretty much it. I didn't really give her much credit.
What are you, some kind of ding-dong?
But she's clearly talented because she was pretty much the only actor in this movie capable of working with the dog shit script. I'm not saying she deserves an award for it or anything, but her screen time is the only thing that's salvageable here.
Doesn't that make it sexier?
I like almost all of the comedians and actors featured in this movie, just not in this movie. This feels like a kid-friendly movie 43. Lots of talent using absolutely none of it. The two dumpster diving kids were pretty good, I guess.
When you're dealing with garbage, you have to let go of conventional expectation.
They did better than all of the experienced players who I'm sure got paid infinitely more for their roles.
Why are you yelling like my dad?
And if I'm really pushing to find more to applaud, I'll give a shout out to whoever cast Bill Burr as John F. Kennedy.
Ask not. What could be clearer? It's 2 words. It means don't ask.
Again, no awards being handed out or anything, but I thought it was a pretty good casting decision. I just wish they had let him add a bit more Bill Burr to the role. We'll come back to that in the next section. Speaking of which... Why does this feel like propaganda? It's borderline breakfast propaganda. Borderline, I don't know. I think I'm giving it the benefit of the doubt. I mean, it's Pop-Tart propaganda, plain and simple. I know the idea is derived from an old Seinfeld stand-up bit, but who are we kidding here?
You know, this really is a terrific product.
This is just the evolution of product placement. This movie is such a stinker, such an unmitigated disaster, that it makes me hate every comedian involved.
I hate them.
Like I said, I like most of the comedians that are in this movie. There are a ton of talented comics here. If you aren't familiar with any of them outside of this movie, I assure you, they're all pretty good. In other stuff, just not this. I hate when this happens. There's barely a plot. None of the scenes really matter. So why wouldn't you just let these guys riff? Just let them off of their Seinfeld scripted chains and have them go nuts. But no, let's just go ahead and neuter Bill Burr and Kyle Dunnigan and Thomas Lennon and Sebastian Maniscalco. Just read the script. The jokes are perfect.
Perhaps pectin-based?
But they aren't perfect, are they? In fact, most of the jokes in this movie, when they aren't absurd and nonsensical, are just rehashed Seinfeldisms.
Let's go.
Which is jarring, because I thought Seinfeld was good at writing jokes.
Such a hard job, making people laugh, but so important.
But instead, we get sitcom throwbacks.
How do I wash it out of my mind?
Supposedly humorous ways of delivering lines.
Because I can replace this whole act! Like that.
Let's just replace Newman with Xanthan.
I wonder if they use xanthan gum. Xanthan.
Yeah, that'll have them rolling off the couch laughing. Ooh, how about we just insert about 1 million pop culture references? That's a good substitute for comedy, right guys?
What is that?
It's stale Rice Krispies and melted marshmallows. It's a treat.
It's got a certain tang.
Ooh, that's a good name.
Brought to you by Oscar Mayer Wieners. When you are done with breakfast, we'll be waiting.
And thanks to Ernie Keebler for providing the fudge stripes.
Uh-oh. SpaghettiOs.
If we just mention all of the toys that were around in this time period,
all right, we'll get you those X-ray specs.
Yay!
maybe people won't notice how shit the movie is. I mean, the references, holy moly. I got a bunch of them because I'm oldish. I wasn't alive when the Pop-Tart was invented, but a lot of these pop culture inserts carried over to my generation. But how is your average teenager going to react to any of this stuff? These are all callbacks that no one but Seinfeld really finds funny or entertaining or relevant. You could have had this stuff in the background, made some subtle nods here and there. But no, every single period reference had to be placed front and center.
Just great.
That's it.
Because nothing in this movie is subtle. Everything is overt and written as if the audience is retarded. And maybe some of them are, but that's not the point. It just feels like modern writing, at least when it comes to cinema or Netflix, is no longer eloquent or graceful. Everything seems like it's written for the lowest common denominator. I mean, Jesus Christ, what am I talking about? It's a movie about Pop-Tarts. Of course it's written for the lowest common denominator.
It's garbage.
And I've got to pop back to an earlier point because the comedians in this movie are so underutilized it's not even funny. Literally. I mean, Kyle Dunnigan? You're just going to put Kyle Dunnigan in this movie as Walter Cronkite and make him play it like this?
Daddy bought himself a Wheelo. Wheelo.
He's just going to make jokes about wheelos and x-ray specs and silly putty?
Silly putty. It stretches, bounces.
A riot at Kellogg's.
Ooh, let me see that. When the ink is fresh, it works really good. I pay the goddamn bills. I'll drink as much as I goddamn want.
What? What are you doing? If you had just given him the script and told him to go nuts, just told him to do a one-man show about Pop-Tarts, it would have been so much better than what we ended up with. Although I suppose if you had done that, you wouldn't have had a role for Sarah Cooper. Who's Sarah Cooper, you ask?
That's not an easy question. In other words...
She's the TikToker who got famous for lip-syncing to Donald Trump quotes.
That's amazing. How did you do that?
Yeah, that's Sarah Cooper. Now, I don't have anything against her personally, but I think this sets a bad precedent. It gives people the impression that making cringe-worthy videos on TikTok can lead to success in Hollywood. Which, apparently it can. But we don't need more of that. We don't need more Sarah Cooper comedy specials. One was one too many. Although I guess it does make sense. After blowing the entire budget for this movie on music licensing and completely unnecessary special effects, Netflix probably had to start calling in some favors for casting. Most of these actors probably worked for access to craft services. Oh, and we need to talk about the sea monkey ravioli.
What did you just say?
I'll repeat that for anyone who hasn't seen the movie. We need to talk about the sea monkey ravioli.
What are you looking at? Don't you see I'm pouring my heart out?
Listen, I know the plot for this movie was paper thin, which is why they had to shoehorn in all the taste pilot stuff and the subplot about Harold being a Nazi and Steve Schwinn's funeral and the mascot uprising. I get it. The Pop-Tart idea can only go so far. But devoting a substantial chunk of the movie's runtime to deal with a Frankenstein ravioli and the romantic relationship between Chef Boyardee and a not-so-secret Nazi who sells sea monkeys to children?
He put the sea monkeys inside.
I said strawberries. You fool!
Our sea monkey creation is evolving. I put him in an aquarium and he swam. So happy.
He's in the walls.
What is that?
Oh, that's just some new form of life we made by accident.
I told you to put the pool cover back on. You hear the way your son talks to me.
Oh, when he talks back, he's a my son!
You know what? Even as I'm saying it, I kind of see why they thought that might be funny. It probably should have been funny. Which begs the question, why wasn't it funny, eh? If you like absurd comedy mockumentaries, this isn't it. Weird, the Al Yankovic story, I, Tanya, and Dolomite is My Name all do a much better job. The Al Yankovic story in particular does a much better job at crafting a ludicrous story that really stretches the meaning of loosely based on.
Get this young gentleman a record contract this very instant. We are going to sign him to a 14-album deal.
Even though it does wear incredibly thin by the halfway mark.
Wait, really? No! What do you think I am, an idiot? He's not an idiot! I'm not an idiot!
It's crazy. There's literally nothing in Unfrosted that is true or based in reality other than the Marjorie Post Mar-a-Lago insert at the end of the movie, which is just plain strange. Why would you make everything else up, but still feel the need to include this?
Do you want me to tell you?
I guess it fits with the Trumpian themes of the movie. Anyway, the icing on the cake is that Seinfeld and crew were able to squeeze in a dance number to a Pop-Tart song created by Meghan Trainor and Jimmy Fallon. Which says so much about this production. Or any production for that matter. If you've got time to film a dance sequence for your non-musical film about a breakfast pastry, maybe that's a sign that you should have spent a bit more time on improving the story. Has there ever been a good movie that's featured a dance sequence at the end? I mean, I guess Slumdog Millionaire did it. Maybe that's the exception that proves the rule. I don't know. Let me know in the comments, what's the best movie that features a musical dance number during the credits? Who is this movie made for? It feels like it's written in a voice that would speak to children, but all of the references are geared towards people who were kids in the 60s. It's weird, but not in a good way. It's weird in a way that makes you appreciate the 2007 disaster B-movie. It's weird in a way that makes you second-guess Seinfeld as a comedian.
It's a sham!
It's weird in a way that makes you hope that this is the last time he tries to make a movie. Please, dear God, let this be the last time he tries to make a movie.
And nobody cares about some stupid heatable breakfast rectangle anyway.
Someone get Larry David on the horn and beg him to work with this guy again.
I'm trying to say goodbye and end this.
All right, get out.
Don't keep talking. 1, 2, 3.
Bye. Bye.
No, don't do that. Goodbye.
I mean, he's in his 70s. Maybe he'll just retire and put us all out of our misery, because Unfrosted is a truly terrible movie.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.